Have you ever invested so much time on a book series that when finished, you almost felt like you couldn't believe it? Whoa, it was actually an incredible ride. Is it done already? I can't believe it's over. After so many years. Was that the whole picture? What am I gonna do after that? Have you ever felt that way? Hi, my name is Paula. Welcome to Carpet and Tea. For this time we have apple, cinnamon, and chamomile tea. As you can see, the decoration is a little bit different today. It's because I'm gonna talk about books. Well, about these books in particular. I want to start it off by, it can be a podcast, TV show, a movie series, or whatever that has like following. What are these books? Well, these are a set of books that cost me around 300 Canadian dollars and that I don't regret buying. There are actually 20 books of them. It's called the Monogatari Series. It's basically a Japanese light novel series by the author called Nishiwe Sin. It's a fantastic story, by the way. Back in 2020, when everybody was in lockdown, I had really nothing to do because during that spring, summer, waiting for college to start. I didn't know what to do and everything was closed. Even like finding a job was pretty hard. So I had nothing to do, right? What I want to say is that as I'm an anime fan, I wanted to watch anime. There's anime that you basically can't watch. You have to buy it. I can read it, right? Like, that makes sense. I'm gonna read the series since I cannot watch it. It was like my first light novel collection. Basically, a light novel is like it says, it's a novel, but like you read it pretty lightly, hence the name. It's always like illustrated characters. You don't need to think twice of the characters' resemblance. It's basically anime characters. The Monogatari series was definitely, like hardcore. If you're a guru of anime, you know what I'm talking about. Definitely, it's one of the most unique series I've watched. Not watched, but like I read. Because after I did watch it eventually. In 2020, with limited money, I decided to buy the first books, which the first book can be started by this one. It's called Kizu Monogatari, but it's actually more of a, let me search for it, 3 sec. These 3 books, which is the Bakken Monogatari series. And I wanted to try it out. It was my first time reading this type of novels, and it was like getting into also reading in English. It was hard at first, but then it went pretty easily after. I got comfortable reading them, and I said, whoa, okay, this is something else, right? After reading 3 novels, I was like, okay, well, I want the next one, so I bought the next one, and this is like, all these books here is like the first season of books. So then I said to myself, okay, do you want to continue this series? And then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna buy them, right? So I bought the second series, which is this one. I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna buy the whole thing. So this is the book set. There are, 6 books. This series took me like 4 years to finish. But then I started to realize that if I started the second season of the whole series of books, I'll have to, of course, buy the third one. And that's because of how these books are. To understand the actual story of this, Monogatari series is basically the main character that is noticing some kind of aberrations that are taking over some girls, which are all the girls from each book, kind of. And he tries to save the girls because they have supernatural phenomena, aberrations that make their life really painful. And that's basically it. But the most interesting thing is that these books are like 70% dialogue, 20% plot advancing, 10% monologue. It's not like your typical book, since this is more dialogue-y than descriptive, and it's not chronological order. I would say the first season is halfly in chronological order. Entering the second season, even if you read the 6 books, you have a plot hole. So you're like, as is not in chronological order, you wonder, because you halfly understand the story, you know how it ends, but you don't know how this could lead to this or how this character knows this. That's when you have to read the 3rd season to understand it all. As I said before, it took me 4 years to finish that. I finished it by the end of 2024. I had a specific routine. I read 1 chapter per day, and if I wanted to read more, I read more. Sometimes I did forget. Sometimes I had to travel, I didn't read. There's a lot of factors that made me like read them in 4 years, but eventually I was reading the last books, which I will say this last book is definitely the last book in the chronological order, and I was pretty mesmerized of how good this is, because this entire thing is like in a year, and it all makes sense by the end after finishing it, and you're pretty mind blown, honestly, about how Nisio Sin can do such thing like that. I was really impressed, like, whoa. I've seen other things I wanted to replicate in Monogatari series, but there's a lot of things that it's really unique. Each character has their own personality. When it is more, it's like the graphic of it, and it's like the story itself. There's a lot of replicas, they wanted to do it the same, but it never ends up being the same. It's so sad to say, but there's nothing like this series of books that I ever read in my life. It's not a fantasy, it's really genius. I can show you some examples of like utilities they use. For example, the language will be upside down. You have weird ass characters that will say weird ass things that are incoherent. Or you skip chapters and even the main characters don't even know what happened. Like, this is the type of series that they're aware that they are in a series, you know? They're aware that they're in a book. I've seen that it's particularly famous in old French movies, but this thing really does it really well. And to not talk about the anime, that it's another masterpiece of its own. So yes, when I was finished, I couldn't believe it. It was like, that's it, that's the result. That's the whole thing. I realized that there's another season, but just only in Japan, so there's no translation available right now. This is it. I know it was more about finishing series, but I just want to say that this is like my most committed series that I ever read, and I feel like reading is definitely a double commitment. I just wanted to tell you about one of my favorite things. It's definitely hard to recommend this book to anyone. I feel like if you search for it, you know that you would like it. And there's some people that definitely think that these series are pretty problematic, which I do understand their point of view. But as a whole concept idea, I can sometimes neglect these little parts and see it as a whole and really enjoy it, you know. This is it. Doing videos on YouTube definitely puts you kind of in a vulnerable space, but it's the idea of me doing these types of videos, so thank you for listening.